Okay, so today we're going to have a look at paper 2 and go through each question one at a time. Paper 2 is non-fiction. You have to look through two sources, always the 19th century text, and then you will either get a 20th century or a 21st century, depending on what you got on paper 1, and that's it. So we'll look at the question paper. Go straight to the question paper before you even look at the sources. For question 1, should be an easy 4 marks, but unlike paper 1, you have to do a little bit of inference. It's not just finding information, so it might not be as straightforward as you think. So have a look. So we need to look at source A from lines 1 to 10. Choose 4 statements below which are true, and you need to shade the circles in the box of the ones you think are true. Choose a maximum of 4 statements. If you make an error, cross out the whole box. If you change your mind again and require a statement that's been crossed out, then draw a circle around the box. Just make it really clear for the examiner. If you mess it up, it'll go to a real person and they will work it out for you, but be as clear as possible. So have a look at the statements, and then we'll look at the text from lines 1 to 10 and read through that, and then we'll do it by process of elimination. We'll decide which ones are true. So lines 1 to 10, I would highlight the area that they've asked you to look at. And also, always remember to read the context box. You can't quote from it, but it will give you some idea and should help you what the text is going to be about. So source A was published in the Guardian newspaper in 2016. In this article, the writer Peter Walker explores how people who cycle in the city are at risk from other road users. Okay, all cyclists fear bad drivers. Ask most people who ride a bike regularly in the UK and they'll happily recount a list of terrifying or alarming incidents caused by the deliberate actions of another road user, usually someone in a motor vehicle. My last such incident happened just under a week ago when a driver decided to overtake my bike very closely and at speed on a narrow residential street near my home in southeast London. I was unharmed, but the driver was gambling on the assumption that I would not, for example, hit a sudden pothole and swerve or wobble. Inevitably, the congested traffic meant I caught up with the driver at the next junction. His relatively minor, but nonetheless very real, roll of the dice with my chances of making it home safely that evening had all been for nothing. That's appallingly common. Okay, so there's our lines 1 to 10. Then go back to the question and have a look at the statements. All right, so on A then, most people in Britain ride a bike regularly. So a common mistake people made on this text was they read the first line of the text and it said, ask most people who ride a bike regularly in the UK and they'll happily recount a list of terrifying incidents. It doesn't say they ride them regularly. It said ask most people who ride regularly. So this one is false. So by process of elimination, you could put a little cross next to that one. Most UK cyclists are pleased about the number of dangerous incidents on the roads. Okay, without even reading the text, you think that can't be right. That doesn't make sense, does it, for cyclists to be pleased about the number of dangerous incidents on the road? But have another check through. They'll happily recount a list of terrifying or alarming incidents. It doesn't sound like they're pleased, does it? So a bit inference there. That's definitely not true. The writer has never had a dangerous incident while cycling. Well, he recounts a dangerous incident, so that is not true either, is it? The writer, of course, has had dangerous incidents. The writer lives in southeast London. Double check. What does it say? Okay, so here's our evidence. Residential street near my home in southeast London. So that one is true. We can fill in that circle and be pretty sure that's right. As the car passed, the writer did not swerve. Okay, double check. He does say something about swerving, so go back under there. I was unharmed, but the driver was gambling on the assumption I would not, for example, hit a sudden pothole and swerve or wobble. He didn't swerve, did he? He says the driver was gambling that he wouldn't, and he didn't. So that's true as well. The writer soon caught up with the driver. Does it say that? I caught up with the driver at the next junction. That one's true. The writer thought the driver's actions had been pointless. What does it say? He's relatively minor, but nonetheless very real, of making it home safely. Maybe not there. Let's have another look. But it says it caught up with the next driver. We could infer that that was true as well. So let's just double check the last one. It is rare to meet dangerous drivers while cycling. It isn't rare to meet dangerous drivers while cycling, is it? So that one's false. So by process of elimination, if we weren't sure about G, we're now sure because all the other ones are definitely false. So it can be a bit tricky, and last year a lot of my students got 2 or 3 marks out of 4. So just read really carefully. It won't be as obvious as question 1 on paper 1. So do it like this, the process of elimination, and you'll be fine.